she said. $1,000 a week isn't enough. My friend's boyfriend spends $5,000, so I told her to leave. Now she's begging me back, but I've moved on. I'm 34, and for the longest time, I thought I had finally figured love out. When I first met Emily, not her real name, it felt like I'd stumbled into something rare, someone who cared about time together, laughs, and those little things you don't put a price tag on. That first year together was full of moments I thought meant something real. Dinner dates, late-night drives, weekend getaways, nothing extravagant, but I wanted to make her happy. Over time, I found myself spending more and more, not because she demanded it outright, but because I wanted her to feel appreciated. Before I knew it, I was averaging close to $1,000 every week. It was a stretch for me, honestly, but in my mind, that was part of being a good partner. You give, you invest in the relationship. I told myself it wasn't about money. It was about creating memories and showing her she mattered. But then came the night everything shifted. We had ordered some takeout and were sitting in her apartment, sprawled out on the couch. She was scrolling through her phone, occasionally chuckling at messages her friends had sent. I wasn't paying much attention until she suddenly looked at me with this playful but serious look. "If you really love me," she said, "then prove it." At first, I thought she was teasing. I gave a half laugh, trying to lighten the moment. "I already spend about $1,000 a week just to keep you happy," I said. "Isn't that enough proof?" I expected a smile, maybe even a thank you, or at least some acknowledgement that she understood the effort I was putting in. But instead, she leaned back, tilted her head, and gave this dismissive laugh. "You call that proof?" she said. "Come on, that's nothing." Something about her tone made my stomach turn. It wasn't playful anymore. It was like she genuinely meant it. She locked her phone screen, set it down, and kept going. "Do you know my friend's boyfriend spends $5,000 every week on her? And even she isn't fully satisfied. So tell me, what do you expect me to feel about 1,000? Her words hit me like a punch. It wasn't just the number, it was the comparison. As if love was some competition where the winner was decided by who could throw the most money around. For a second, I sat there in silence. I wasn't angry right away. I was more stunned. All those dinners, trips, and surprises, did they really mean nothing if they didn't measure up to some imaginary scoreboard? She laughed again after saying it, like she thought the whole thing was lighthearted. But her eyes told a different story. She wasn't entirely joking, and I knew it. That was the first time I felt something inside me shift. The trust, the warmth I thought we had, it all started to feel shaky. Because suddenly, I wasn't her partner anymore. I was being measured against someone else's wallet. I looked at her, searching for some sign that maybe she didn't mean it. Maybe she was testing me in some silly way. But all I saw was someone waiting for me to prove myself with numbers, not love. That's when frustration bubbled up, and before I could stop myself, I said, "If $1,000 every week isn't enough for you, then maybe you should just leave me." The room went quiet. The playful tone she had been carrying vanished. She sat up straighter, eyes narrowing a little, almost as if she couldn't believe I had said that. "Why are you talking like this?" she shot back quickly. "Are you joking with me? Don't say things like that. If you do, I swear I'll leave." Her sudden seriousness should have made me backtrack, but instead, it only confirmed what I was already beginning to see. Her love wasn't about us. It was about what I could provide, and whether it stacked up against someone else's relationship. And sitting there on that couch, I felt something I hadn't felt since we met: doubt. Her words kept ringing in my ears. $5,000 every week. And even she isn't satisfied. It wasn't the number that stung the most. It was the way she said it. Like my effort, my time, my sacrifices, all of it was some kind of discount version of love. I sat there, trying to process, while she leaned back against the couch with her arms crossed, like she had made some brilliant point. "That's what real effort looks like," she added, almost casually. 5,000. Not 1. Not 2. 5. Something inside me snapped. I looked her straight in the eye and said, "If $1,000 every week isn't enough for you, then maybe you should just leave me." Her smile evaporated instantly. She sat up fast, her phone sliding off her lap onto the couch cushion. Her whole expression shifted: confusion, disbelief, and a flicker of anger. "Why are you talking like this?" she asked, her voice sharper now. "Are you serious? Don't say that again. I'm warning you. If you do, I'll walk out that door." I held her gaze, refusing to flinch. "I'm serious. If all you care about is comparing me to someone else's boyfriend, then what are we even doing here?" She scoffed, shaking her head. "You're being dramatic. I was just pointing out reality. That's how relationships work. You show love with effort. You show effort by providing." I clenched my jaw. Effort isn't measured in dollars, Emily. It's measured in how much you care about someone. And I've shown you that in more ways than money. But she didn't back down. She leaned closer, eyes narrowing. "Don't twist this around. If you loved me enough, you wouldn't even question it. You'd want to do more. You'd want to match what others are doing. The word others hit me harder than I expected. When we first got together, she told me she valued authenticity, that she hated shallow games people played in relationships. And now here she was, turning our relationship into a bidding war. I could feel the frustration tightening in my chest. For months, I had stretched myself thin trying to give her a good life, maybe too good. And here she was, laughing at what I thought was more than enough. Her laughter earlier kept replaying in my mind. Not lighthearted, not affectionate. It was mocking, like I was some second-tier boyfriend who couldn't compete with the big players. Finally, I said quietly but firmly, if you want someone who spends $5,000 a week just to keep you entertained, then go find him. But I'm not that guy. The silence between us was heavy. She searched my face, like she was trying to figure out if I was bluffing. Her lips parted slightly, but no words came out at first. Then she said, "You're really serious, aren't you?" I nodded. Her eyes darted around the room, as if she needed an escape from the weight of the conversation. She picked up her phone again, tapping the screen even though no notifications were there. I could see her fidgeting, struggling to mask the crack in her confidence. "You're making a mistake," she said finally. "You don't just walk away because of one conversation. You think any woman would be happy with just 1,000? This is reality." I let out a slow breath, trying to steady myself. "No, Emily. This is your reality, not mine, and not what I want in a relationship." For the first time since I had known her, she didn't have a quick comeback. She sat there, stunned, like she hadn't expected me to push back. That was the moment I realized she thought she had me locked in, that no matter what she said or demanded, I would bend. She didn't think I'd ever call her bluff. But I had. And now, the look on her face told me she didn't know what to do next. I could feel the tension sitting heavy between us. She was waiting for me to backtrack, to soften my words, and take it all back. That had always been her advantage. She knew I hated conflict. But not this time. I leaned forward a little and repeated myself, firmer than before. "If you're not satisfied with what I do for you, then just leave." The moment those words left my mouth, her entire demeanor shifted. The defiance she had been showing just moments ago drained away, and in its place came tears. Her voice cracked. "Why are you saying this? Why are you pushing me away? Don't you care about me anymore?" The sudden change almost caught me off guard. One second she was dismissing me with comparisons, and the next she was crying, her voice shaking as if I had broken her heart. But deep down, I didn't buy it. I knew her well enough to recognize the difference between real emotion and manipulation. She wasn't crying because she truly loved me. She was crying because she realized I wasn't taking the bait. I wasn't playing along with the prove your love game anymore. I kept my tone calm. "If you think this relationship is about who can spend the most money, then I'm not the right guy for you. I'm not going to compete with someone else's wallet." She shook her head, wiping her cheeks with the back of her hand. "That's not what I meant. You're twisting my words." I raised an eyebrow. "I'm not twisting anything. You said 1,000 wasn't enough. You compared me to your friend's boyfriend. That's not love, Emily. That's comparison shopping." Her tears came faster. She buried her face in her hands, rocking slightly as if she was overwhelmed. But even as she cried, I felt nothing. Normally, I would have been quick to comfort her, to wrap my arms around her and say we'd work it out. But now, I sat still, watching as she tried to piece together a defense. "You don't understand," she whispered, looking up at me with red eyes. "I was just talking. I didn't mean it like that. You're taking it the wrong way." But it was too late. Her words earlier had been too sharp, too specific, too revealing. You don't laugh about someone else spending $5,000 a week unless you actually wish for that yourself. And maybe what hurt the most wasn't the money talk. It was the realization that she didn't value what I had already been giving. All the dinners, the trips, the surprises, none of it mattered. I let out a long breath. "Emily, I'm not going to live my life proving my love with receipts. If that's what you're looking for, then you need someone else. Not me." Her face twisted as if I had just slapped her. She leaned forward, grabbing my arm. "Stop talking like that. You sound like you don't even want me anymore. Is that what this is? You're done with me? After everything?" I gently pulled my arm back. "I'm not done because of everything. I'm done because of what you've shown me tonight. You don't see me, you only see what I can give you. And if what I give isn't enough, then nothing ever will be." Her breathing grew shallow, and the tears kept coming. She tried again, softer this time. "Don't say that. Please. I'll change. I didn't mean it. Just don't push me away like this." But there was no going back. For the first time in months, I felt a strange sense of clarity. This wasn't love. This wasn't partnership. This was performance. And I had been the one funding the stage. I stood up slowly, my decision already forming in my mind. When I stood up, Her eyes widened like she realized things were slipping away faster than she expected. She reached out, clutching my wrist this time with surprising force. "Wait, listen to me," she pleaded, her voice breaking. "I was just pranking you, baby. I wanted to see how much you'd fight for me, how much you'd prove your love." The word pranking almost made me laugh, though not in a funny way. It was the kind of laugh you hold back because the situation is too sad to deserve it. I stared down at her, still holding my wrist, and said quietly, "That wasn't a prank. That was you showing me exactly how you think." Her lip trembled. No, you're misunderstanding me. I only said that stuff about money to test you, to see if you'd stand up, if you'd fight to keep me." I pulled my hand free from her grip. "Emily, a woman who truly loves someone doesn't measure him against another man's wallet. And she definitely doesn't test him like this." She shook her head frantically, her tears now smudging the makeup on her face. "You don't get it. I love you. I really do. I was just stupid, okay? I thought you'd laugh it off and then promise you'd do anything for me." Her words hit me like a confession. She hadn't been joking. She had been fishing for reassurance, but in the most toxic way possible. And instead of proving some kind of devotion, all she proved was that my love was a currency to her. I sat back down, but not beside her, across from her, giving space between us. I kept my voice calm, because I wasn't angry anymore. I was done. No more games. No more tests. It's over. The sentence hung in the air like a final verdict. She froze, her tears slowing as if she couldn't process what I had just said. Then she crawled closer, clutching my knee with both hands. "Don't say that. Please. You don't mean it. You're just upset. We can fix this. I promise, I'll never bring up money again. Just give me one more chance." Her desperation might have worked on me months ago, back when I believed her affection was real. But now I could see it clearly. This wasn't love, it was fear of losing what I provided. I stood again, more firmly this time. "I meant it, Emily. I don't want this anymore." Her eyes darted around the room, searching for something to anchor herself to, some angle she could play. And then, like it had just struck her, she said, "Wait, you can't leave. You gave me your phone when mine broke. Remember? You can't just take it back now. That wouldn't be fair." I looked at her, and for the first time all night, I almost smiled, not because it was funny, but because it revealed everything. Even in that moment, her mind went straight to possessions, not the relationship. "That's exactly what I mean," I said. "I'll take my phone back tonight." Her face dropped instantly. The pride she carried like armor vanished. She looked small, almost powerless. And for once, she didn't have anything left to say. I walked over to the side table where my phone was charging, unplugged it, and slipped it into my pocket. She sat frozen on the couch, watching me as if hoping I'd suddenly change my mind. But there was nothing left to reconsider. I turned toward the door. Her voice cracked behind me. "So that's it. After everything, you're just going to leave me crying here?" I paused, hand on the doorknob. "No, Emily. You ended this when you turned love into a competition. I'm just walking away from it." And with that, I opened the door and stepped out into the night. The hallway outside her apartment felt oddly quiet compared to the storm that had just unfolded inside. I didn't rush down the stairs, but I didn't look back either. My mind was buzzing, my chest heavy, yet there was a strange calm underneath it all. By the time I got to my car, I pulled out my phone and deleted her number without hesitation. It felt final, like cutting a rope I'd been tied to for far too long. That night, lying in bed, I couldn't sleep. Not because I missed her, but because my thoughts were finally colliding all at once. The dinners, the weekend trips, the endless little proofs of love I thought I was giving. It all played back in my head. For months, I had been telling myself I was sacrificing for love. But in truth, I had been feeding her entitlement, and it was never enough. Oddly enough, when I finally drifted off, my dreams were quiet. No arguments, no laughter, just silence. The next morning, my phone buzzed nonstop. At first, I thought it might be work notifications, but when I glanced at the screen, her name, still saved in iCloud despite me deleting it, flashed again and again. Dozens of texts. I swiped through the first few, each one longer than the last. "I didn't mean it that way. I was only testing you. Please don't throw everything away over one mistake. You know I love you. Don't make me look like a fool in front of everyone. If you really care, let's talk this out." She was writing faster than I could even read. It was as if she thought volume would erase what she had revealed the night before. I set my phone down on the table and poured myself a cup of coffee, letting the messages stack up. Every vibration of the phone only confirmed my decision. After finishing my coffee, I picked the phone back up and scrolled through more of her words. Some messages were apologetic, others defensive. "You're overreacting. Don't make me regret opening up to you. I know I said something stupid, but everyone says dumb stuff sometimes." Then came the guilt trips. "You think you'll find someone better? No one will love you like I do. If you walk away now, you're making the biggest mistake of your life. It was all there, laid out in text bubbles, the same cycle of manipulation I had just lived through in person. I didn't reply, not once. Instead, I went for a walk, letting the cool morning air clear my head. For the first time in months, I felt a weight slowly lifting. Yes, part of me was angry. Yes, part of me was disappointed. But more than anything, I felt relieved. Relieved that I had finally drawn a line. Relieved that I had stopped feeding into an endless test I was never going to pass. When I got home later that afternoon, my phone was still buzzing with her messages. By then, there were nearly 50 unread texts. I scrolled through a few and saw the pattern shifting again. The apologies were becoming pleas. I'll never compare you again. I'll prove to you that I can change. Don't leave me like this, please. But even as I read them, I knew the truth. Change doesn't come because someone gets caught. Change comes from within, and I didn't believe she had that in her. So I powered the phone off and left it on my nightstand. That evening, sitting by myself, I realized something important. For months, I had been carrying the weight of her expectations on my shoulders, convincing myself that love was sacrifice. But real love isn't about emptying your wallet to earn respect. It's about support. And I hadn't had any of that with her. I thought ignoring her texts would be enough, but I was wrong. By late evening, the call started. First one, then another, then 5 in a row. My phone buzzed so much that I had to flip it face down on the table just to stop myself from checking. For a while, I just let it ring out. But when I glanced at the call log later, I saw more than 20 missed calls in just a couple of hours. Each voicemail notification carried the same subject line. Please. Eventually, I had to block her number. It wasn't anger driving that decision, it was exhaustion. I couldn't go through another round of her crying 1 second and accusing me of overreacting the next. But she wasn't finished. The next morning, I opened Instagram and saw a flood of messages sitting in my requests folder. You don't understand how much you mean to me. Just give me one chance. I promise I'll never make you feel this way again. You think money was all I cared about? It wasn't. I love you. I just said the wrong thing. Her words were filled with urgency, but to me, they rang hollow. Because if she really loved me, why had she laughed in my face when I told her I already gave so much? Why had she made me feel like I was competing against men I didn't even know? The irony wasn't lost on me. The same woman who mocked me for not spending enough money was now begging for my attention for free. I didn't respond. Not to the calls, not to the texts, not to the messages. Silence became my answer. The first few days were harder than I expected, though. I wasn't used to the quiet. I wasn't used to coming home without her voice filling the room or her presence lingering on the couch. For months, even though things hadn't been perfect, I'd built routines around her. And now those routines were gone. At night, I'd lie in bed and catch myself replaying little moments. The time she surprised me with a handwritten note, the way she used to laugh at my bad jokes, the trips where we actually felt like a team. Those memories would creep in, making me wonder if I'd been too harsh, if maybe I should have stayed. But then the other memories came back too. Her rolling her eyes when I said I couldn't afford something she wanted. Her silence when I told her I was stressed. Her casual comparisons to other men who supposedly gave more. That was when clarity would return. The relationship had never really been about us. It had been about her, her wants, her image, her desire to keep up with her friends. And I had gone along with it because I thought that's what love was supposed to be. Giving until you had nothing left. But love isn't supposed to drain you. It's supposed to lift you. The more time passed, the more I realized how one-sided things had been. She never asked how my day was after work. She never showed up when I was the one struggling. She was the center of the universe, and I had been orbiting around her without even realizing it. One evening, about 2 weeks after I'd walked out of her apartment, I was sitting at home with the TV on low volume. My phone sat quiet beside me. No calls, no buzzing, just silence. And instead of feeling lonely, I felt peaceful. It hit me then. The silence I had dreaded was actually the beginning of freedom. I wasn't tied down by someone else's demands. I wasn't competing with men I didn't know. I wasn't draining myself just to keep someone else happy. For the first time in a long time, I could breathe. A couple of weeks passed, and life slowly started to feel normal again. Work, gym, catching up with friends. It all filled the space she used to take up. But every now and then, her shadow crept back in through other people. One evening, a mutual friend called me. He hesitated at first, then finally said, "Man, Emily's been talking about you." I sighed. "What's she saying now?" He paused before answering. "She's telling people you overreacted. That she was just joking when she said the thing about money. She's even saying you made her look bad by walking out like that." I let out a short laugh. Not the bitter kind, but the kind you give when something doesn't surprise you anymore. "Of course she's saying that." "Look," my friend added, "some people buy it, but most of us know you. We know you wouldn't just walk away for no reason. You don't need to defend yourself. And he was right. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel the urge to explain. I didn't need to. People who knew me understood my values, and I didn't owe anyone an explanation for leaving a toxic relationship. Still, it was strange hearing how she was spinning the story. Part of me wondered if she really believed it herself, that it had all been a joke, that she hadn't meant it. But deep down, I knew the truth. The words that come out when people are comfortable are often the most honest ones. A few weeks later, I ran into her by accident. I was at a coffee shop, sitting near the window with my laptop, when I saw her walk in. She looked different. Tired, like the shine she used to carry had dulled. Her hair wasn't styled the way it usually was, and there were faint shadows under her eyes. When her gaze met mine, she froze. Then she forced a small smile and walked over. "Hey," she said softly. I nodded. "Hey." She shifted from one foot to the other, her confidence clearly gone. After a pause, she whispered, "Can we talk?" I closed my laptop and shook my head. There's nothing left to talk about. Her eyes filled quickly, the way they had that night on the couch. "Please," she said, her voice trembling. "I was stupid. I know I messed up. You were the best I ever had, and I threw it away. I didn't mean it. I just wanted you to fight for me. I swear, I regret it every single day." For a moment, I studied her face. And maybe she was telling the truth. Maybe she really did regret it. But regret doesn't erase the hurt, and it doesn't rebuild trust once it's gone. I stood up, sliding my laptop into my bag. "Emily, love isn't something you test. It's not a competition, and it's not about who can spend more. I gave you everything I could, and you told me it wasn't enough. That's all I needed to hear." Tears rolled down her cheeks as she whispered, "So that's it? It's really over?" I nodded. "Yeah, it's over." I walked past her toward the door, and though I could feel her eyes on me, I didn't turn back. When I stepped outside, the air felt crisp and clean, and for the first time, I knew I had truly moved on. Since then, I've focused on myself, on the things that make me happy, the people who actually care about me, and the kind of life I want to build. I appreciate you watching till the end. Hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more content.